Hey, what's going on, Facebook? It's about that time again. It's Cross Training Wednesday. A little tidbit on how to get in shape spiritually. It's Cross Training Wednesday, and we live. Want to thank you again so much for listening. I certainly ask that you would like and share this message. Other people could hear it and potentially listen and follow each week. I also want to just thank you in advance for all your support. Certainly appreciate you reaching out, appreciate you listening, appreciate you giving me comments, and I can't thank you enough. As always, it's Cross Training Wednesday. We live. I certainly encourage you to visit the website, www.wecrosstrain.com. The concept is I cross-train individually, become part of the We Cross Train family collectively. You may even purchase your very own I Cross Train shirt. But at any rate, you certainly follow us on Facebook, We Cross Train, Instagram, We Cross Train, and I come to you live every Wednesday with a little bit of tidbit on getting in shape spiritually. So today, I want to talk a little bit about practice His presence. Practice His presence. So in sports, whatever sport it may be, there's different drills that you do, and there's different things that you do that the outcome or the different motions or the different steps that you take will ultimately lead to a certain reaction over time. These particular drills you go through, one, I can give you an example that I remember. You'd put a big board on the ground, and usually there'd be like a cage over your head, and it did two things for you. It made sure you stayed low, and it made sure you kept your stance wide, or your base wide, so that you could keep your ground. It wasn't fun, and it seemed silly, and it even hurt sometimes. But what it did is it trained you to react a certain way in certain circumstances. Now, any kind of drills, regardless of what sport it is, you practice it a little different depending on if the coach is there. Now, I know we should do everything to our best ability all the time, but we all know, and we all have probably been guilty of it. If the coach is there, the way you practice, the way you go through the drills is a little different than when the coach is not there. So the thing is, you go through the different drills, you could halfway do them, and it's not giving you the same gain as it does when you do it with your full intensity and the right levels and all that with the coach there. So now let's get to the spiritual part. I'm sure that's what you're waiting on. So in life, we should practice Christ's presence. There's not necessarily design drills that we know of, but there are designed tests and design things that happen to you, design things that people say to you, interactions at work, all these different things, the way you interact with your loved ones, the way you interact with strangers, the way you interact, period, situations that come up. People may not like you, people talk about you, or you may have this need to always want to tell people off. What we have to do is we have to practice Christ's presence. Whether you know it or not, Christ lives inside of you. And yep, even if you don't believe in Him, let me just go and tell you, He's living in you too. He's living in all of us. Could you imagine, let me give you a quick scenario. We all heard of Siamese twins. Let's just say a set of Siamese twins was joined at the hip, but they had two separate brains, two separate heads, and ultimately two separate thoughts. Let's say one of the twins wanted to go out with a particular young lady, but the other twin didn't like her at all, didn't want to be involved with her, wasn't attracted to her at all. Let's just say that they had an encounter, and we're all grown, but not knowing who may watch this, I'll just leave it as an encounter. Well, the one twin enjoyed the encounter, wanted to be with the lady, wanted to do what they did, but the other twin had no desires and didn't like the encounter at all. The problem is they both did the action. So you say, well, what are you talking about, Jimmy? Well, I'm glad you asked. What encounters are you taking Jesus to? What conversations are you having with Jesus right beside you? What actions are you taking with Jesus right beside you? What scenarios are you carrying out each day? What responses? How are you treating people with Jesus right beside you? We need to practice His presence. And the reason I say practice is because, as with anything, practice makes perfect. But there's a catch to it. Coach Gillum, the man, said this best: practice makes perfect, only if you're practicing right. If you're not practicing right and you're practicing something, you can get progressively worse. So having said that, we need to practice Christ's presence in our every encounter, in our every action, in everything that we do. And I promise you, it will turn out for the better. Keep your peace. We've all heard it. If I hold my peace and let the Lord fight my battles. That's what we have to do. That's practicing his presence. Nobody owns your peace but you, and ultimately God. But you can't let people who don't own your peace control your peace. And the way you do that is by practicing Christ's presence. A couple of scriptures for you here. Psalm 16:11. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Exodus 33:14. And he said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Revelations 21:3. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. And lastly, these are just some things that just shows that he is with you, and some reasons why you need to practice his presence. This last one, you can just remember 37:12, and no, I'm not giving you the pick for tonight, although I know some of you may look at it that way, as I used to as well. Psalms 37:12. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Practice Christ's presence in all that you do, and let him handle the situation. And I promise you, the initial thought and probably what you're used to may not feel like it's okay, but I guarantee you over time, much like with any exercise, much like with any drill for preparing for a sport or a game, over time you'll be uncomfortable at first, but then it will come natural to you, and the outcome will be even better than it is acting in your general way. It's Cross Training Wednesday, y'all. Two very important things I want to tell you is God loves you and I love you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it.